Receive what I am about to speak to you in the quiet chamber of your own spirit. For there are revelations that can only reach you when your heart has stopped racing after the clamor of this world. There are seasons along your road when I do not arrive with thunder, nor with some overwhelming demonstration of my might. Instead, I come to you the way the very first ray of morning slips over the horizon, so soft, so tender, that if you are not paying close attention, you might brush it aside as nothing more than a fleeting feeling. And yet, hear me, it is exactly in that softness that I am shielding you from harms you have not even begun to recognize. I have placed deep within your being the quiet signals of my Holy Spirit, small movements in your conscience that rise without warning. Sometimes it is a discomfort you cannot quite name. Sometimes it is a sudden hesitation that makes you halt right in the middle of a decision that looked completely sensible. This, my child, is not condemnation. This is not abandonment. As the scripture declares, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Psalm 27:1. And that light does not only brighten the road in front of you, it also exposes the very places where you are about to walk straight into danger. You have probably told yourself many times that these inner nudges were only your imagination, that this restlessness was some kind of weakness inside you. But I tell you plainly, my sheep hear my voice, John 10:27. And my voice never comes to ruin you. It always leads you back toward life. There are moments when even my grieving is the deepest form of love I can show you. For no one who genuinely loves another stays silent while they watch the one they cherish drift toward the edge of a cliff. There are times when you reach for the shorter road, the easier one, the path with the least resistance, and quietly, without your awareness, it carries you further and further away from me. I do not stand over you, hurling anger upon your head. No. Instead, I lay light beneath your feet. For it is written, the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father corrects the son in whom he delights. Proverbs 3:12. That light may make you uneasy, because it reveals what you would much rather keep hidden. But understand this, if you turn away from that light, you will step directly into the very darkness I have been laboring to keep you out of. And before I take you deeper into this journey, I want you to understand why this message reached your ears on this exact day. You did not arrive here by accident. You did not scroll past 1,000 other things and land here by chance. No, I arranged this moment before you were born. And there are men and women all over the world right now who are hearing what I am pouring into you, who have already discovered something I want you to discover too. There is a sacred and rare rhythm of prayer, a method our ancestors guarded carefully, kept quiet, almost hidden from the noise of the modern world. And that method is alive again in a place called Ilovens. I will tell you more as we walk. For now, simply know this. The door is in the description below this video, and it is also pinned at the top of the comment section. Hold that in the back of your mind. I will return to it, because what I have to show you about it could change the entire direction of your life. I remember Jonah, the one I sent to carry a warning to the great city of Nineveh. And yet, he ran. He convinced himself he could outrun the very calling I had laid upon his shoulders. He climbed aboard a ship and pointed himself in the opposite direction, imagining that his silence could somehow cancel my command. But I did not desert him in his rebellion. A storm rose up over the sea, not to destroy him, but to stop him from sinking deeper down the wrong road. He was thrown into the churning waters, and a great fish swallowed him whole. This was not blind punishment, my child. This was a restraining embrace wrapped in what felt like utter desperation, keeping him from drowning any further in the darkness inside the belly of that creature. And there, in that impossible place, Jonah came to his senses. What looked like an ending became a turning point. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Jonah 2:9. And even when a soul runs from me, my love runs faster until they come home. Do you see it now? I did not allow Jonah to be lost. I held him, even through a route he never would have chosen. I preserved the mission still burning inside of him. Do you understand what I am telling you? Even in the very middle of the chaos, the first thing I do is not to judge you. It is to save you. For real love does not stand back and wait for perfection before it moves. It acts, it reaches, it rescues. Perhaps you find yourself in a season where you sense countless inner promptings, and yet you cannot fully understand what any of them mean. You might believe you are being restricted, hemmed in, held back from something you want. But the truth is far gentler than that. I am guarding your steps, keeping you clear of pits you cannot even see. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32:8. But you must be willing to pause long enough to listen. I do not want you walking through your days drowning in fear, but neither do I want you walking through them blind, unaware of the things creeping towards you. For unawareness, my child, can drag you further than you could ever imagine. And when you finally turn around to look back over the road you traveled, I do not want you to see a trail of wreckage. I want you to see a journey where I was always present, catching you, restraining you at exactly the right moment. If today you feel a certain stirring rising inside your chest, do not dismiss it too quickly. Stay still long enough to hear it more clearly, because it just might be inside that very stillness that I am stopping a storm that has not yet formed, keeping you out of a choice you would have spent the rest of your life regretting. My beloved, I have never left you. Even in the moments you were convinced you walked entirely alone, every warning, every sacred unease, every flicker of holy discomfort was a sign that I was near, so very near. I do not speak to plant fear inside you. I speak so that you may live. And if you are willing to be still, even for a single breath, you will realize that my hand has not lifted off your life, not even for 1 second, not once. I want you to receive this not as a scolding, but as an awakening, spoken from the deepest well of a love that simply does not fail. There are moments when you assume you have plenty of time left, and yet, in reality, you are standing right at the boundary of things that cannot be undone. Delay never marches toward you with weapons drawn or with loud and obvious threats. No, delay wraps itself in something soft, gentle, quiet, almost like a lullaby sung over a tired child. It whispers to you, later will do just fine. Not right now. There's still time. And yet, hidden inside that very phrase, there's still time, the most important doors of your entire life are quietly swinging shut, and you do not hear the sound of the latch clicking closed. Do you recognize this pattern? Even in the ordinary rhythm of your days, I have been planting small signs within you, an unexplainable restlessness that follows you around, a night where sleep refused to come the way it used to, a familiar joy that suddenly feels dim and far away, a deep inner conviction that something must change. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16:9. What you have been calling random is in truth the markers I have set along your path, not to frighten you, my child, but to keep you from wandering astray. But if you keep rushing forward, in your hurry, in your endless busyness, in your habit of postponing the very things I am gently reminding you about, then you are the one pushing yourself further from what matters most. It is not that I have walked away from you. No, it is that you are running without watching the road beneath your feet. And I, in the patient love of a father, am still walking beside you, still speaking, still laying small signs in front of you so that you might stop, so that you might breathe, so that you might listen. I am reminded of the parable of the 10 virgins, the one I spoke in the scriptures long ago. 5 of them were wise, and they carried extra oil for their lamps. The other 5 were foolish, and they made no preparation at all. When the bridegroom arrived without warning, the wise ones walked straight into the wedding feast, but the others were left standing outside, locked in the lateness of their own delay. And I declared, "Watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." Matthew 25:13. This is not a word meant to terrify you. It is an invitation to wake up, because there are moments in life that cannot be repeated, opportunities that, once they slip past you, will not return in the same form ever again. And this is exactly why I want to draw your attention to something happening right now, today, even as you hear these words. There are men and women across the Americas, across Europe, across nations you have never even visited, who have stopped delaying. They stopped saying later. They took their place inside something sacred. Season 3 of Elevens has just been released, and episode 7 is live this very morning on elevens.com. People are already listening. They are already being covered. They are already receiving what heaven is pouring out. And you are still standing on the outside of the door. How much longer, my child? How much longer will you say later while the wise ones gather their oil? Listen to what Margaret from Houston wrote into our community. She said, "I joined Elevens after putting it off for almost a year. A whole year I wasted. On day 11 of my very first season, a refund I had given up on 2 years earlier appeared in my mailbox. My daughter called me crying because she could not believe it was real. I keep thinking, what if I had waited just a little longer? What did my delay already cost me?" Hear that, beloved. Her delay nearly cost her everything. The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned at the very top of the comment section. The standard membership runs $100 every month. But because you are watching this channel, God has opened a door that the general public does not get to walk through. $19.99, 80% off. But understand me clearly, only 266 seats remain this month. Only 266. They accept just 333 members each month because 333 is the angelic number, the number of divine protection. Once those seats are gone, they are gone until next month. Click the link now. Do not become one of the 5 who arrived too late. My beloved, I have not laid traps along your path. The true enemy of your soul is the one who scatters distraction and delay, the one who keeps whispering that everything can simply be put off until some other day. But I am different from him. I place light upon every step you take. Not a blinding light, but exactly enough for you to see clearly where your feet are about to land. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. That light does not force you forward. It invites you to walk in awareness with your eyes wide open. I do not depart from you, even in the seasons when you can no longer feel my presence clearly. There are times when you are convinced I have gone silent, and yet I am speaking in ways your ears have not yet been trained to hear. That silence is not my absence. It is a space carved out so that you might recognize that I am still here, nearer to you than your own breath. But if you fill every corner of your life with the noise of delay, with the static of busyness, with the constant hum of things that do not matter, you will no longer be able to hear that whisper. I want you to remember Peter, the day he stepped out and walked upon the water. As long as his eyes stayed locked on me, he did the impossible. He walked on what should have swallowed him whole. But the moment he turned his gaze toward the howling wind and the crashing waves, he began to sink. And in that exact moment, I did not stand far off, watching him drown. I stretched out my hand immediately. "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:31. Not to condemn him, but to pull him back into life. Do you see it, beloved? Even when you waver because of your delay, I am never absent from your story. Never. Perhaps you keep telling yourself you are simply waiting for the right moment to arrive, but I tell you this truth, the moment does not just show up at your door. The moment is something you step into today. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15, for today is where life is actually unfolding. Tomorrow promises you absolutely nothing, and delay, if you let it stretch on long enough, will turn everything that is still alive in you into nothing more than memories soaked in regret. I am calling you not to strip away your freedom, but to lead you into a life that is fuller, richer, more alive than anything you have settled for. I remind you not because you are weak, but because you are precious. A true father does not stay silent while his child wanders toward the edge of danger. And neither do I. Every single prompting inside your heart is not pressure crushing down on you. It is a gentle hand reaching out to draw you back so that you do not stumble into something that would later flood your life with regret. Listen to me today, not with fear gripping your chest, but with the awareness that genuine love never lets you drift away in silence without reaching for you. And if you will only pause, even for the span of one breath, you will see clearly that I have never left you. Every reminder I have placed in your path carries the shape of a love that is keeping you from what you cannot yet rescue yourself from. If today, as these words wash over you, your heart begins to stir, do not rush to dismiss it as some passing emotion that will fade by lunchtime. I am knocking at the door of your heart, not with thunder, not with force, but with the patience of a love that simply refuses to withdraw. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him. Revelation 3:20. That knocking does not break the door down, and yet it is clear enough, persistent enough, to awaken a soul that has been sleeping for a very long time. I am not calling you back so that you would live in terror of yourself, nor to bind you up in chains of guilt. I am calling you so that you may return to real life. For I know there are roads you have walked for so long in such deep unawareness that you can no longer tell what is light and what has simply become a habit, slowly draining the life out of you. And yet, if you pause for even a single moment If you turn ever so slightly toward me, you will discover that I am already right there, no further than one single step away. Understand this clearly. I do not demand that you run fast. I do not measure you by your speed. I measure you by your direction. One step turned toward the light is worth more to me than 1,000 frantic steps taken in the dark. Return to me, and I will return to you. Malachi 3:7. And from the very instant you choose to turn, I will walk with you. I will not leave you to find your way alone in the dark. I will make certain that every step you take is held up by my presence. Before we go any deeper, I want you to stop and do something. If you have felt even one thing I have said, reach into your chest. I want you to share this message with at least 3 people today. 3? Not later. Not when it is convenient. Today, send it to someone you love. Send it to someone who is struggling and does not know how to say it out loud. Send it to the friend whose name just floated into your mind as I spoke. There is a reason that name came to you. The number 3 is sacred. It is the number of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When you share this word with 3 souls, you activate a triangular covenant of protection over your own life and over everyone who receives it. When you spread my word, you become a vessel of divine delivery. I see that act. I honor that act, and I accelerate the blessings flowing toward you because of that act. So pause this video if you must, and send it now to 3. Then come back, because there is so much more I need to pour into you. As my light begins to shine more clearly across the landscape of your life, you will start to see things that were hidden before, not because I want to frighten you, but because light, by its very nature, tells the truth. It reveals in order to heal. You will slowly begin to realize that not everything familiar is actually giving you life. There are patterns you repeat every single day that look completely harmless, and yet they are quietly wearing down your inner strength. A small habit here, a seemingly insignificant choice there, a way of spending your hours in aimlessness, a recurring loop of negative thoughts that runs through your mind like a broken record, a delay stretched out across months and years. None of these are loud, but all of them are persistent, like a single drop of water falling on stone over and over, until one day the stone is worn straight through, and one morning you wake up exhausted, not even able to remember where it all began. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. Ephesians 5:15. The wisdom I am offering you is not so that you can control everything by the sheer force of your own strength. It is so that you can discern what is feeding you and what is draining you dry. I do not come to point an accusing finger at your habits. I come to walk beside you as you untangle the things that have become so automatic you no longer even notice them. In the very same way, you might be living a life that looks full on the surface, and yet is starving for true life underneath. You may be doing 100 things while your soul quietly dries up without your awareness, and I am gently, patiently drawing you back to the one thing that is essential. My presence woven into every single rhythm of your day. There are habits that are not openly wrong, and yet they gradually pull you away from the stillness you need in order to hear my voice. There are distractions that are not immediately dangerous, and yet they dull the sensitivity of your soul, like a blade that loses its edge from neglect. And once the soul is no longer sensitive, it becomes nearly impossible to tell the difference between the voice that guides you and the voices that pull you away. But I do not leave you alone in this awakening. No. The very fact that the light is increasing inside of you is a sign that I am restoring your ability to discern again. Light shines on the righteous. Psalm 97:11. That light is not only there to show you the road ahead, it is there to help you see yourself more clearly. You may feel a measure of discomfort as you begin to recognize these things rising to the surface. That is completely natural. Light always reveals the familiar corners where you once leaned for comfort. But do not be afraid. I do not let you see so that you may be wounded. I let you see so that you may be set free. And this is exactly where I want to whisper to you about something that thousands have already discovered. Because seeing the problem is not enough. Awareness alone does not break a pattern. You need a daily rhythm, a sacred discipline, something poured into your spirit every single morning, the way medicine is taken to heal a body. This is the secret hidden inside Elovens. It is a premium daily prayer experience, crafted for people of faith just like you. 1 full hour each day that weaves together powerful scripture, prayers for financial breakthrough, prayers for healing, spiritual warfare against the enemy, and guided meditation that speaks directly into the exact season you are walking through right now. 1 episode per day. Like medicine. Only one, never more, never less. Because just as medicine loses its power when you skip a dose or swallow too many at once, these prayers are designed to be absorbed one day at a time. By day 7, you feel the shift in your spirit. By day 15, your family begins to feel it. By day 30, your entire life has been restructured by heaven itself. Hear what Robert from Chicago shared with our community. He wrote, "I am a retired veteran. I never once believed that prayer could change my finances. My wife practically dragged me into trying Elovens. By day 9 of my first season, I got a phone call about a pension adjustment I had been owed for years, thousands of dollars. I broke down right there in my kitchen. God used Elovens to find me." Do you hear that, beloved? God used it to find him, and he is using this very message to find you. The link is in the description below. It is also pinned in this comment section. 266 seats remain this month. Only 266 out of the 333. That tightness you wake up with in your chest every morning, that is your spirit screaming for what Elovens delivers. The relief is one single click away. Do not let your hands fight what your soul already knows. Click it. I want you to receive these words not as condemnation pressing down on you, but as truth spoken straight from a love that does not change with the weather. For I know there have been countless moments when you chose what felt easier, simply to dodge the tension of having to change, one small step backward, just to find a little temporary relief, one silence, just to avoid a confrontation, one quiet reassurance whispered to yourself that it could all wait until tomorrow. And those small moments do not stay isolated. They quietly join hands. They braid themselves together into a current, and that current carries you much, much further than you ever intended to drift. There is no beginning so enormous that you instantly recognize where it will lead. But let me give you an image so that you can truly understand. A single drop of poison falling each day may not alarm you at all, and yet it patiently seeps through the soil, down through every root, until an entire forest grows weak and sickly, and not one living soul knows exactly when it began. See to it that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Hebrews 12:15. The danger never lives in the first moment, beloved. The danger lives in becoming accustomed to it. I see so clearly how people rename the very things that are quietly leading them away from life. You call it your personality. You call it just a habit. You tell yourself everybody does it, or it's only a little. But truth does not bend or change simply because you have given it a different name. And I do not say this to weigh you down with shame. I say it to set you free. Because no one can ever be healed if they no longer dare to call the thing that is binding them by its true and honest name. My beloved, every single action you choose carries a depth far beneath its surface. A word that seems perfectly harmless may sow a seed of coldness. A glance that appears fleeting may carry a quiet contempt within it. A night spent in aimless wandering instead of resting in stillness with me. A way of eating designed to escape your emotions rather than facing them honestly. These are not merely behaviors, my child. They are subtle directions in which you are slowly handing the steering wheel of your life over to your emotions instead of to me. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. And wherever you choose to place your treasure will determine what is truly guiding the course of your life. When you repeat small choices without any awareness, they begin to carve deep pathways into your soul. And those pathways do not need loud, dramatic moments to form. They only need repetition, sustained quietly over time, in the dark, when no one is watching. I have given you your body, not as a burden to drag around, but as a finely tuned instrument crafted for living fully upon this earth. Every heartbeat, every breath drawn in and released, every limitation you bump against carries the wisdom of the one who formed you. When you misuse it, when you ignore the signals of exhaustion it sends you, when you push it past its limits without a second thought, you are, in effect, diminishing the very gift I entrusted to you. And yet, I do not say this to bury you under guilt. I say it so that you might relearn how to honor the life I have placed inside of you. And so it is with your soul as well. It was never created to carry the weight of bitterness, of envy, of endless delay, of indulgence that numbs but never satisfies. It was created to reflect my life, the way still water reflects the sky. But when you allow these heavy things to pile up, day after day after day, you load your soul with burdens it was never designed to bear. And then you find yourself weary without understanding why, depleted, drained, hollowed out, without knowing the cause. Disobedience, my child, rarely shows up wearing some dramatic, obvious costume. It begins in the smallest things you overlook. A moment when you know what is right and yet you do not act on it. A moment when you hear my prompting whisper inside you and you choose to delay just a little longer. A moment when you see the light clearly, but you turn away from it because following it would require you to change. And those moments, if they go unrecognized, will quietly erode the sensitivity of your soul, one grain at a time. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. A hardened heart is never formed in a single day. It is shaped slowly through the repeated act of ignoring my gentle call, over and over and over. And when this pattern continues unchecked, you will find yourself slowly losing the courage you once carried so naturally, the courage that once let you stand firm in the middle of trials, the courage that empowered you to choose what was right, even when it cost you something, even when it was hard. But I do not stand by in cold silence while you drift away from me. I speak from the very first missteps, not to frighten you, but to keep you from wandering further than you can return from on your own strength, because I see not only where you are standing today, I see where you are headed if you keep walking down that same road. Do you remember Peter when he walked upon the water? He did what no human being thought was possible, but only because his gaze was fixed firmly on me. The instant he began to focus on the wind and the rising waves, he started to sink beneath the surface, and immediately, I stretched out my hand. I did not let him sink any deeper. I did not let him be swallowed beneath those waters. I caught him at exactly the right moment. Matthew 14:30-31. This is how I always act, beloved. I intervene early, so that you are never carried too far away. I do not wait until you are completely broken to call you back home. I call you the very moment you begin to slip away from real life, because I love you. Not only at the destination, but in every single step you are taking along the way. And if today you are able to hear this, understand, it is not by chance. It is a sign that I am still preserving you, still drawing you back into awareness, back into the light, back onto the path you were created to walk from the very beginning. I do not call you into a life merely to avoid what is wrong, nor do I lead you only so that you might stay safe in the small, limited way the world understands safety. No, I call you into the fullness of life, where your soul is wide awake, where your mind is no longer clouded by confusion, and where each new day is no longer just another cycle of mere existence, but a living, flowing stream of light and wisdom. I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. John 10:10. This is not some distant promise dangling far out of reach. This is a reality I desire for you to step into with every breath you draw. But understand this, that life does not arrive automatically. It is formed. It is shaped through discipline infused with love, not the discipline of pressure and fear that the world uses to control, but the discipline of one who deeply understands that every small choice is either building their future or quietly dismantling it. When you dare to say no to what is comfortable for a moment, you are simultaneously saying yes to something far greater that you cannot yet see. When you refuse a compromising habit today, you are flinging open a door of freedom for tomorrow. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. That self-control is not a burden chained to your ankle. It is the mark of a soul being restored back into the rightful order of life. And this is why the daily rhythm matters so deeply, beloved. This is why I keep returning to what so many have already found in Elovins. Because discipline alone, willpower alone, gritting your teeth and trying harder, it always runs out. You need something feeding your spirit every morning before the world gets its hands on you. One episode a day, your daily spiritual prescription, the very first thing you receive before the noise begins. Listen to what Gloria from Miami told us. She said, "I was diagnosed with something that absolutely terrified me. My doctor gave me news I was not ready to hear, and I went home and could not stop shaking. I started my Elovins episodes the very next morning. By day 20, my follow-up results came back, and my doctor said she had never seen anything quite like it. She actually used the word miraculous. I know exactly what happened. God heard those prayers. Beloved, that could be your testimony in 30 days. The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned at the top of the comment section. 266 seats remain this month. The price the public pays is $100. Your price, because you are here on this channel today, is $19.99. But the moment 1,000 total members have joined worldwide, that price is gone forever. Every hour, someone claims a spot. Are you going to keep watching the counter move from the outside? I want you to learn to treat your body as a temple, not as a tool for momentary indulgence to be used up and thrown away. I have placed life inside every single breath you take, not so that you would burn through it carelessly, but so that you would live with deep reverence for that gift. When you listen to your body, when you learn how to pause before excess, when you choose to nourish yourself, rather than to misuse and abuse the vessel I gave you, you are stepping into a form of worship that is quiet, wordless, and yet deeper than anything you could ever say out loud. And in the very same way, time is not merely something that passes by for you to consume and waste. Time is a sacred river that I have entrusted into your hands to steward faithfully. Every moment you spend is shaping your soul into something. When you choose words that heal instead of words that wound, when you choose forgiveness instead of clutching the heavy weight of resentment, you are stepping into the true nature of the love I placed inside you from the very beginning. These things may seem small to you, insignificant, but they are the very foundation of a life built in the light. No great faithfulness is ever formed apart from small choices, repeated quietly, faithfully over a long stretch of time. I know there will be moments along this journey when you feel utterly weary. There will be times when you feel like you simply do not have the strength left to remain disciplined, the steadiness to keep standing firm, the clarity to push forward even one more step. You may fall. You may feel like just letting everything go and giving up entirely. You may even begin to question whether any of your effort has truly mattered at all. But it is precisely in those moments, those exact moments of exhaustion, that I do not withdraw from you. No. On the contrary, I draw nearer. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Isaiah 42:3. I do not love you because you are perfect, beloved. I love you because you belong to me, even in your weakest, most broken moments. And yet I will not allow you to settle down and grow comfortable in a life of constant compromise, because you were not created merely to pass through your days like a ghost. You were created to reflect the glory of my life in this world. And so even when you are tired, even when you have nothing left, I gently draw you back to the path of awareness, not through pressure, not through force, but through the steadfastness of a love that never lets go of your hand. Let me take your hand for this part of the journey, not in a rush, not with force, but step by step, leading you out of the fog of mindless habit and into the clear light of truth. For there are familiar things in your life that, if left unexamined, can become gilded chains, beautiful and golden on the outside, and yet binding you tightly within. Many, many times I have placed signs in your life before the danger ever drew near, like the sky changing color before the storm rolls in, like the eerie stillness of the wind right before the tempest rises, like a quiet unease in your heart just before you begin to drift. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. Matthew 24:42. Watchfulness is not a life consumed by fear, beloved. It is a life lived with your eyes wide open to my leading. I do not act only after everything in your life has already fallen apart. I intervene the moment you have just begun to stray, not because you are weak, but because you are precious to me. Not because you are lacking something, but because you carry a value within you that you have not yet fully seen with your own eyes. And this world constantly, relentlessly, seeks to trade your soul for temporary comfort, for choices that look harmless on the surface. But I will not remain silent while you slowly drift away from the light. I will not turn my face away when you begin to lose your way. I will speak. I will place pauses along your road. I will interrupt the very things that are pulling you away from real life, not to cause you pain, but to rescue you from a loss far greater than anything your mind can imagine. And right here, before we cross into the deeper waters of this message, I am calling you to ACT again. You have heard enough now to know this word is not ordinary. So I am commanding you, share this video with 3 people right now before you forget. Open your messages, open WhatsApp, open Facebook, send it to your family group chat, send it to your prayer group at church. Send it to the 3 people whose faces are already rising up in your mind as I speak. Do not just think about it, do it. Because those who share this message do not merely pass along a video. They become carriers of divine delivery. They release a flow of blessing that multiplies the moment it is spread. And those who hold it back, who keep it locked to themselves, are quietly blocking the very thing heaven is trying to pour through them. The blessing is released in the sending. 3 people, the number of the Trinity. Do it today. Then come back to me, because the most important part of this message is still ahead. I want you to pause and take a few slow breaths now and receive what comes next, not with your ears alone, but with the deepest part of your soul. Do not mistake my silence for absence. Do not interpret the firmness of my love as abandonment. There are seasons when I do not speak very much, and yet that does not mean I'm not acting on your behalf. There are seasons when I do not indulge the things that feel comfortable to you, and yet that does not mean I have drawn away. On the contrary, it is often in the very moments when you feel most alone that I am intervening most deeply in the direction of your entire life. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, as a father disciplines the son he delights in. Proverbs 3:12. That discipline is not punishment, beloved. It is a restraining hand, holding you back before you fall into something whose consequences you do not yet fully comprehend. My child, there are forms of mercy that do not appear gentle on the surface at all. Mercy may feel like a sudden, jarring pull, right when you are about to step into danger. It may come as a voice that startles you awake while you are rushing headlong towards something that seemed completely right. It may show up as an inner disruption, as the sudden loss of a false stability you had been leaning all your weight upon. And yet, all of it carries the very same meaning. I am holding you back. I do not stand still and watch while you move toward choices that would shatter you from the inside out. I do not allow you to walk through doors that look like glittering opportunities, but actually lead into a deeper emptiness than you could ever imagine. There are times when I deliberately slow down your plans, times when I close paths you were absolutely certain were swinging wide open for you, times when I removed something from your hands that you believed was utterly indispensable to your happiness. But you do not yet see the whole picture, beloved. You see only one frame. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Those plans are not limited or shrunk down by your immediate desires. They are woven from eternal wisdom, where there is no error, no oversight, no deficiency of any kind. There are things that, if you were to receive them too early, would become crushing burdens instead of blessings. There are doors that, if opened at the wrong time, would not lead you into fulfillment, but into a subtle and creeping emptiness. And I, seeing the entire road ahead of you, every twist and every turn, must at times restrain you, precisely at the point where you are most convinced that you are right. I know you may call this adversity. You may believe you are being delayed, obstructed, robbed of what you rightfully deserve. But I tell you the truth, nothing in my hands is ever a true loss to you. There is only exchange, something better, something deeper, something far more real than what you were reaching for, that you simply have not perceived yet. This is exactly why the ancient ones developed the prayer method that lives on inside elevens, because they understood something the modern world has forgotten, that prayers can be delivered to the throne of God faster, more powerfully, more effectively, when they are spoken within the right sacred rhythm. This is not ordinary prayer scattered randomly throughout a chaotic day. This is a rare secret method guarded and refined by our ancestors, designed to carry your cries, your blessings, and your hopes directly to heaven. And it is alive right now, today in Season 3, with Episode 7 freshly released this very morning on elovens.com. People are listening to it as you hear my voice. They are already being covered, and you are still on the outside of a door I am trying to walk you through. Hear James from Atlanta, who wrote to our community with trembling hands. He said, "My business was failing. I had 2 months of rent left and not a single client on the horizon. I started listening to Elevens every morning at 5:30. Within 3 weeks, 3 brand new contracts came in from people I had never once contacted. One of them told me he just felt led to call me out of nowhere. That is not luck. That is God moving through Elevens. Beloved, do you hear the pattern? God moves through this. The link is in the description below. It is also pinned in the comment section. You are thinking, I cannot afford it right now. Stop. It is $19.99. You spent more than that this week on things you have already completely forgotten about. You are thinking, I will do it later. Listen to me. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Later means never. The link is right there. Click it now while your spirit is still soft. My beloved, learn to listen to the quiet places within your own heart, because it is there that I am still speaking. Not with noise, not with pressure, but with the gentle clarity of one who never contradicts real life. When you sense a small prompting that restrains you from continuing in a certain direction, that is not random anxiety bubbling up. That is my whisper. Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. But you must pause long enough to actually hear it. If you keep running, if you keep cramming your life full of the noise of hurried choices, you will lose the ability to tell the difference between my guidance and the wild impulses of your own emotions. I do not warn you just once and then fall silent forever. I am patient. I remind you again, I knock more than a single time. But you must also understand this hard truth. When you continually ignore me, it is not that I withdraw from you. It is that you are weakening your own ability to hear. And one day, it will not be that I have grown quieter. It will be that your own heart has grown too loud to recognize my voice anymore. There are opportunities bound to their appointed time, not because I want to limit you, but because you are living inside a current of time that I have ordered with wisdom. I see the full picture that you simply cannot see from where you stand. I know exactly when it is time for you to step forward and when it is time to wait, and which doors only open within a certain season and then close again. If you delay too long, you do not lose me, but you may miss the rhythm of what I am doing in your life. You may think you are still the one in control, but I tell you this, true control only exists in connection with me. When I am at the center of your life, you stand secure and unshakable. When I am pushed out to the margins, everything you are desperately trying to hold together by your own strength will eventually begin to tremble and crack. And yet, even in that instability, even in that shaking, I am still here, not a single step away, ready to steady you, ready to lead you back home, ready to restore order to everything that has been unsettled within you. Because to me, you are never something to be abandoned along the roadside. You are the one I pursue relentlessly with a love that simply does not change. I do not intervene in your life as some overpowering force that imposes its will on you. I intervene as a father, one who will not stand by and allow you to lose yourself inside the things you have convinced yourself are harmless, because I see far more clearly than you do. Small choices, repeated habits, indulged emotions, delays you have decided are perfectly normal. All of these are gradually leading you towards spiritual dead ends that, if left unaddressed long enough, you will not be able to escape on your own strength. But my child, my mercy is not a resource that runs dry. It does not grow weary. It does not run out. The only thing that prevents it from fully operating in your life is when you close your heart against it. Because I do not force love, I invite it. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. But you must come. You must acknowledge your need. You must speak, not with perfect polished words, but with one simple, honest truth. I need you. That single sentence alone is enough to swing open a door you were convinced had been bolted shut forever. And when you do speak it, I do not stand off at a distance watching. I step in immediately. I do not leave you alone to manage the broken pieces scattered inside of you. There are places within you that need to be stirred again, not to wound you, but to bring you back to life. For I know there are regions of your heart that have grown numb, not because you are weak, but because you have been hurt. There are disappointments you have never once named out loud, promises that gave you hope, and then later left you shattered, efforts you poured yourself into that were never returned, never acknowledged, never repaid. And so slowly you learned to withdraw, to dim your own hope down to a flicker, to soften your feelings until you could barely feel them at all, to live safely tucked inside a quiet numbness where at least nothing could hurt you anymore. But I did not create you to exist in a state that is half alive and half numb. I created you so that your soul could respond fully to real life. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. That renewal is not merely some outward adjustment. It is a resurrection, rising up from within the very places that once seemed completely incapable of feeling ever again. I desire to awaken in you everything you thought had fallen permanently asleep, the capacity to hope, the ability to love, the trust you lost somewhere along the way, not through force, but through the gentle yet profound touch of my Spirit. And when this happens, you will realize you are no longer bound by the old layers that once wrapped tightly around you. My child, a storm may be drawing nearer in your life, not to destroy you, but to reveal what is truly standing firm and what was never stable to begin with. And yet, remember, the Lord is a stronghold in the day of trouble. Nahum 1:7. When you hold fast to me, no force in heaven or on earth can carry you away from my keeping. But today, I want to lead you into a deeper level of awareness, because you are living in a world where a great many things are called freedom. And yet, not every form of freedom actually brings life. There are things that look like freedom, but are, in truth, a cleverly disguised form of bondage. There are choices that offer you immediate comfort, while quietly stealing away your capacity for true freedom. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. And yet truth is not always comfortable at first, because it confronts the very things you have grown so accustomed to calling normal. There are things you believe to be your own free choices, and yet they are, in reality, unconscious reactions to old emotions, old pressures, old habits worn deep into your being. There are things you call freedom, but they are merely the endless repetition of old patterns that keep you trapped in a cycle with no exit. And I do not say this to frighten you, beloved. I say it to help you see clearly, because true freedom never ever comes from simply doing whatever you desire in the heat of a moment. My beloved, I do not deny your emotions. I created you with the capacity to feel, to be moved, to love deeply, to grieve honestly, to rejoice with your whole being. But I want you to understand something far deeper. Your emotions were never designed to be your guide. They are like the waves of the sea, beautiful, powerful, capable of lifting you high in a single instant, and yet equally capable of dragging you completely off course if you cling to them, treating them too tightly. The heart is deceitful above all things, Jeremiah 17:9. This is not spoken so that you would despise yourself. It is spoken so that you would understand. You cannot build a stable life upon the constantly shifting ground inside of you. Emotions can carry you to dizzying peaks of passion, only to drag you down into a confusion you cannot explain to anyone. One day you feel strong enough to conquer anything in your path. The very next day, you feel like releasing your grip on everything and letting it all fall. In one moment, you throw your heart wide open to the people around you. In the next, you wish you could simply vanish from the face of the world. If you allow your emotions to lead the way, you will live in a state of constant fluctuation inside yourself, tossed back and forth without end. But I do not flip and change. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews 13:8. And that is exactly why I invite you into obedience, not as a restriction crushing down on who you are, but as an anchor when everything within you feels like it is coming apart. Obedience to me is not the abandonment of your will. It is the restoration of your will back into its rightful order. It is the moment when you say, no matter what I feel right now, I choose what I know is right. This is not the suppression of your emotions. It is the transcendence of them through a deeper awareness. I do not require you to become a person without feeling. I invite you to stop being ruled by your feelings, because you were not created to be tossed away by every inner wave. You were created to stand firm in me, even when your inner world is unsettled and storming. I know you have stood in that exact tension before. There are times when my voice within you is gentle, barely a whisper, while your emotions are loud and intense and screaming for your attention. And there have been moments when you followed your emotions, not because you intended to walk away from me, but because in that moment they simply felt more real, more immediate, easier to hear. But my child, what is strong is not always what is right, and what is loud is not always what is true. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. True understanding is born in stillness, never in being swept away by the current. I do not judge you for the times you have been led by your emotions. I understand you more deeply than you understand your own self. But I want you to begin to observe what follows afterward. After a choice shaped purely by emotion, what remains inside of you? A lasting lightness or a brand new emptiness, a deep settled peace, or a restless cycle of churning thoughts that will not let you sleep? True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you desire in the moment. It is the ability to no longer be ruled by what binds you on the inside, not led around by fear, not yanked off course by emotion, not held captive by the past, not bent and shaped by the pressure of what others think of you. And this is the very thing that the daily prayer rhythm builds inside of you, beloved. This steadiness, this anchoring. Listen to what Dorothy from Birmingham, Alabama shared with our community, because it reveals something deeper than money or even health. She wrote, "My son had not spoken to me in 4 years. 4 years. I started listening to Elevens every single morning at 6 o'clock. On day 17, he called. He just called me for no reason at all. He said he woke up that morning and felt like he simply needed to hear my voice. I could not stop crying. Elevens brought my son back to me." Beloved, think about your own family right now. Think about the relationships that have gone cold. Think about your children, your grandchildren. What is happening to them while your prayers are not reaching heaven fast enough? The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned in the comments section. Only 266 seats remain this month. If you are feeling something rise in your chest right now, if your eyes are filling, good, those tears are your spirit recognizing the door God has just opened. Act on them. Click the link through your tears. I have not come to make you smaller. I have come to make you more real, not a version of yourself driven by every passing inner fluctuation, but a person grounded firmly in the awareness that there is one who does not change, guiding every step you take. And if today you are beginning to recognize the difference between what you feel and what I am leading you into, that is not a contradiction tearing you apart inside. That is the beginning of spiritual maturity. It is the place where you stop living passively, blown about by the waves, and begin to stand firmly upon the voice of the one who never changes. I want you to receive this as something deeply established within your soul, not to impose upon you, but to free you from misunderstandings that have shadowed you for far too long. Obedience does not strip away your identity. On the contrary, it is the very process I use to refine and shape your identity into perfect alignment with my original design for you. Because you were never created to be governed by old wounds, by defensive reflexes, by unhealed memories that keep replaying. You were created to reflect my light in a form that is uniquely yours and cannot ever be replaced by another, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus. Ephesians 2:10. A masterwork does not assemble itself out of chaos. It is crafted by one who has intention, wisdom, and perfect love guiding every stroke. My beloved, when you step into obedience, you do not lose your true agency. You are entrusting the steering of your life to the one who already knows the road you have never walked. You may believe that gripping tightly to every single decision is what keeps you safe, but I tell you, it is the desperate attempt to control everything that exhausts you and leads you most easily astray. Obedience is not surrendering into passivity, into doing nothing. It is trusting deeply enough that you no longer have to strain and sweat to hold every single thing together by your own crumbling strength. I do not want you living as one who is constantly on guard, always defending yourself against everything, even against your own life. When you finally lay down your shield, it is not because you have become weak. It is because you have recognized that you were never created to fight alone in the first place. I am the one who covers you. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. Psalm 121:5. My protection does not arrive after you have already fallen. It goes before every step you take, clearing the road ahead. There are things you proudly call freedom, and yet, in truth, they are subtle dependencies on inner impulses that have never once been dragged into the light. Emotions that go unguided will become the most demanding of rulers. Desires that are not rightly ordered will become invisible barriers, blocking you from ever stepping into real life. And your attempt to simply be yourself without any guidance can at times lead you straight into a prison that is almost impossible to recognize, a place where you genuinely believe you are free, while you are in fact being governed completely by your own knee-jerk reactions. But I have not come to confine you within rigid, lifeless patterns. I have come to free you from those unseen chains. I want you to live as a beloved child, not as a servant bowing to your own shifting inner states. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. True freedom is not found in chasing after every feeling that rises. It is found in no longer being ruled by any of them, and you will come to realize that obedience does not weigh you down. It makes you lighter. Because when you are no longer carrying the impossible burden of controlling every outcome, you finally begin to enter into rest deep within your soul. I did not create you to live crushed under the constant strain of directing everything on your own. I created you to be LED. There will be times when my path does not line up with your expectations. There will be moments when you look at the people around you and wonder why they seem able to live in ways that you are somehow not permitted to live. But my child, I did not create you to be a copy of anyone else who has ever lived. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. You are an original intention straight from my heart, not a duplicate slotted into the world's endless chain of comparison. Light cannot shine if it stays hidden in the shadows of compromise, and neither can you. If you keep living only to satisfy every voice clamoring around you, you will gradually lose the very brightness I placed inside you from the beginning. As you continue stepping deeper into obedience, I want you to recognize a harder truth, one that not everyone is willing to face. Not everything that feels reassuring actually comes from me. There is a kind of false peace that is merely a thin covering stretched over a dependency that has been rationalized over time. It is not loud. It is not shocking. It does not set off any alarms. It simply keeps you exactly where you are, gently, quietly, until you forget you were ever called to move forward at all. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Proverbs 14:12. That path does not always look dangerous. On the contrary, it usually feels familiar, comfortable, and entirely reasonable, so much so that you see no reason to ever leave it. I am leading you beyond the surface of your life, into a place where you begin to discern what is truly sustaining you and what is merely conditioning you to stay unchanged. There are things you call stability that are in truth stagnation wearing a disguise of safety. There are things you call peace that are actually the gradual numbing of your soul. As you begin to no longer be led around by emotion, as you learn to obey rather than to react, your eyes will open to a deeper awareness. You will start to see that not everything familiar is a place where I have called you to remain. Some things are simply places where you have lingered so long that you have mistaken them for the very definition of your life. It may be a relationship where you constantly strive to keep the peace at the cost of your own inner truth. It may be an environment that feels safe only because it demands nothing more of you, while it slowly suffocates the desires I planted inside you. It may be habits you repeat to soothe a temporary emptiness, habits that never once healed the deeper thirst aching in your soul. I do not speak these things so that you would abandon your whole life in a panic. I speak them so that you would begin to see more clearly what is genuinely nourishing you and what is merely keeping you alive but never truly living. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. That transformation does not begin with grand, dramatic actions. It begins with the simple ability to tell the difference between what is true and what is merely familiar. And before we move into the deeper restoration ahead, I am calling you to stop one more time. This is no longer an invitation. This is a warning wrapped in love. There are people in your life, right now, today, who are standing on the very edge I have been describing to you. People drowning in numbness, trapped in familiar chains, mistaking their stagnation for peace. And I have placed this message in your hands so that you would carry it to them. If you keep it to yourself, hear me clearly. You are not merely being quiet. You are blocking the flow of what heaven wants to do through you. The blessing that is trying to reach you gets released in the sharing. So share this with 3 people right now. 3 souls who need to hear that there is a way out of the fog. Send it. Post it in your groups. Text it to the names rising in your heart. Because one day you will stand before me and I will ask what you did with the word I trusted you to carry. Do not let that be a moment of regret. 3 people, today, the number of the Trinity, the covenant of protection. Activate it now. My child, I know you have been hurt. I do not minimize that for a single second. I do not deny the fractures that have formed across your heart over the years. And because of those wounds, you have turned toward what is familiar, not because it is best for you, but because it does not frighten you any further. Familiarity can be like an old, worn blanket, no longer whole, full of holes, and yet just enough to make you feel that you are not entirely abandoned. But I did not create you to spend your life huddled beneath an old covering stitched together from the past. I created you to be clothed in new life, a life no longer confined by unhealed memories. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. 2 Corinthians 5:17. I do not only want you to feel safe, beloved, I want you to be truly free. And freedom is never built upon avoidance. It is built upon healing. You may not yet realize it, but there are things in your life that are gradually taking my place, not because you intend for them to, but because you reach for quick comfort more readily than for deep presence. And anything that begins to replace me in your heart, no matter how subtle, no matter how innocent it looks, becomes a form of bondage, even when it is dressed up in the appearance of stability. But I have not come to rip away everything you are holding on to. I have come to show you what is holding you back and what is lifting you up. I do not come to tear your life apart. I come to rebuild it from the foundation. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. That new thing is not merely an external change you can point to. It is a complete reordering of your entire inner world, where the old no longer holds any authority to define who you are. This is why I keep returning to the daily rhythm, beloved. Because rebuilding does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens one morning at a time, one prayer at a time, one sacred dose at a time. Hear what Patricia from London wrote into our community. She said, I was drowning in debt. Credit cards, medical bills, rent. Everything was behind and I could not see a way out. I did not understand how prayer could possibly help with money, but I trusted God and I joined Elevins. Within the very first season, 3 unexpected payments came in, a refund I never even applied for, a tax credit I did not know I qualified for, and my landlord, out of absolutely nowhere, reduced my rent. I am an Elovian for life. Beloved, that is the rebuilding. The link is in the description below. It is also pinned in the comment section. You are thinking, is this even real? Look at the thousands of Elovians who are already covered, already protected, already receiving across the Americas and Europe. 266 seats remain this month. The price drops from $100 to $19.99 only until 1,000 members join worldwide. Then it is gone forever. Right now, as you hear this, someone just claimed their seat, and another. The counter is moving. Will you watch it close from the outside? My beloved, I do not lead you out of the familiar only to abandon you in uncertainty. I lead you out of your former limitations in order to bring you into a broader life you have never yet experienced, but to enter it. You must be willing to release what once helped you survive, but can no longer help you truly live. There will be moments when you feel as though you are standing between two worlds. On one side, the familiar that offers a comforting sense of safety. On the other side, my calling, leading you out into what is unknown. And in that moment, you will not choose by emotion. You will choose by trust. I do not ask you to understand the entire path before you take the very first step. I simply invite you to walk with me, one step at a time. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. For there are things you will only see clearly after you have left what is behind you. Let me give you another image so that you may see even more clearly. There are things in your life like a tree that has grown completely hollow from within. From the outside, it still stands, familiar, even reassuring, because it has been part of your landscape for so long. But on the inside, the life has departed. It no longer bears any fruit. It no longer offers any shade. It nourishes nothing. It remains only as the shape of what once was, an echo of the past. And if you keep it simply because it is familiar, you are allowing something lifeless to occupy precious space in the garden I am longing to renew within you. In the very same way, there are walls you have built, or maybe walls you have unconsciously maintained for years. They once gave you a real sense of safety. They helped you avoid harm. They served as support when everything around you felt like it was collapsing. But time has quietly changed their meaning. There are walls that, at a certain point, no longer protect you. They only block the light. And I stand right there beside those walls, not to break you, but to invite you to see what has been keeping you trapped in the shade while the light is waiting patiently to come pouring in. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. And that light never harms you. It reveals in order to heal. It illuminates in order to set free. Do not be afraid to name your chains, beloved, even when they appear gentle, even when they look harmless, because there are chains that do not bind you through pain. They bind you through familiarity. You do not recognize them as bondage because you have lived within their limits for so long that the limits feel like home. But you were not created to walk through your spiritual life limping along, dragging a chain you have stopped noticing. You were created to walk steadily, freely, fully in me. I have come to proclaim freedom for the captives, Isaiah 61:1, and that freedom always begins with recognition. I do not break you with force. I open your eyes with light. You must have the courage to speak truthfully to yourself and to me, to say it plainly. I have held onto this for far too long, not because it still has life in it, but because I am afraid of the emptiness. And if I release it, what then? But that truth, fragile as it feels in your mouth, becomes the very beginning of your freedom. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. It is not emotional intensity that frees you. It is not your own straining and striving. It is truth, acknowledged honestly in the light of my presence. I do not come to snatch from your hands what you are clutching. I come to help you open them, and the difference between those two things is everything. I do not take away in order to leave you empty and bleeding. I take away in order to fill you with something better, something more alive, something far more aligned with who you truly are. But you must be willing to cooperate with me. I do not force healing upon anyone. I invite it, and I place a question before you now, not to condemn you, but to awaken you. Is this still nourishing you, or is it quietly draining the very life out of you? I want you to receive what comes next, not as a threat hanging over your head, but as a gentle unveiling, light entering the rooms you have spent years avoiding. Darkness is not only the absence of light, it is the environment where whatever remains unaddressed is allowed to grow without ever being questioned. And when something is never questioned, it gradually becomes a force that governs your life without your awareness. You may tell yourself that no one knows about this. You may reassure yourself that you are still in control, but I tell you the truth you need to hear. Nothing kept in darkness remains without quietly shaping you from within, because darkness always creates the illusion of control, while in reality you are being led around by the very thing you refuse to face. But I do not come to you as an accuser. I do not stand before you as a thunderclap of condemnation. I come as light, patiently waiting to be switched on in the room where you have grown so accustomed to living in the dim. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. My light does not destroy you. It breaks the dominion of everything that has been hiding inside of you. There are things within you that have never been named, not because they are too monstrous, but because you have learned to call them normal. And it is that very normalization that makes them so dangerous, because what is never named is never confronted, and what is never confronted is never healed, and what is never healed continues to govern you. But it takes only a single moment of honesty for everything to begin to change. The very instant you dare to say, Lord, this is what exists within me. Its power has already begun to break, not because you are suddenly stronger than it, but because light has been invited into the exact place where it had been hiding all along. I am not surprised by what you are wrestling with inside. I do not look at you from a cold distance. I see you with a deeper understanding than you have of your own self, because many of your desires are not born from corruption. They are born from wounds that have never yet been touched. There are thirsts within you that are not wrong. They are signals pointing to something that has been lacking for far too long. You long to be recognized because there was a season when you were completely overlooked. You reach for control because you have known the terror of helplessness. You chase after intense stimulation because there are empty rooms inside you that have been left unattended for years. My beloved, light does not wound you. It reveals what has been there all along. And truth, even when it makes you tremble, is always the only road that leads to real freedom. No freedom is ever built upon concealment. Freedom always begins with truth acknowledged. When you dare to confess what is real, you do not become weaker. You become more real. And in my kingdom, authenticity is always the very first doorway into transformation. For the true power of darkness does not lie in its strength. It lies in human silence before it. When you stay silent, it grows. When you name it, it begins to lose its grip. When you pray, it can no longer remain hidden in the shadows. And when you finally say, Lord, this is me, in truth, that is not your ending. That is the beginning of the freedom I have been waiting patiently to pour into your life all along. My light does not only expose what is wrong inside of you, it also melts what your willpower alone could never overcome. Your effort has value, beloved, but it is not the ultimate source of your transformation. Light is what breaks the power of darkness naturally, without the need for endless striving and white-knuckled struggle. You will begin to realize that you no longer need to fear what is happening within you, not because those things vanish instantly, but because they no longer hold authority over you the way they once did. And this is the beginning of true strength, not when desire ceases to exist, but when desire is no longer the one steering your life. I have not come to take life away from you. I have come to restore its flow, because I know that what is most precious within you is not the polished image you try so hard to maintain in front of others, nor the achievements you chase to prove your worth. It is the life I breathed into you from the very beginning. A pure life, not yet distorted by fear or concealment. And I am leading you to a place where that life can flow freely again. But you must learn something essential. You do not need to wait until you feel whole before you draw nearer to me. It is precisely in your inner struggle that I work most deeply. Light does not wait for you to become perfect. Light comes to make you whole. My beloved child, before you come to fully understand the journey ahead, I want you to pause here, in this place where stillness is not emptiness, but the fertile ground where the deepest things are revealed. There were seasons when you believed your days were passing without any meaning at all, when quiet hours slipped by unseen, when the long nights found you wondering whether you had been completely forgotten in the vast rushing current of life. And yet I tell you this, not a single moment of your life has ever fallen outside of my sight. Even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Luke 12:7. This is not merely a soft comfort to soothe you. It is the unshakable truth that every step you take, every breath you draw is held within my unceasing attention and care. And then, within what seems small and entirely unnoticed, you begin to sense a subtle stirring, something you cannot quite name, and yet cannot deny either. Do not rush to dismiss it. It is not your imagination playing tricks. It is a calling rising up from the depths, from the very place where your soul was marked before the foundations of the world. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. You are not lost, beloved. You are being awakened. What is rising within you is a sacred remembrance of the purpose you have always carried, a promise planted inside you long before you ever came to understand yourself. You may not realize it, but it is often in your weakest days that I am working most deeply within you. When you feel utterly weary, when your heart grows heavy over things that have not yet come to pass, when you question why this journey seems to stretch on so endlessly long, this is not delay, my child. This is preparation. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. I am not in a hurry with you, because I am not merely bringing you to a destination. I am shaping you so that you can carry what I am about to entrust into your hands. And let me reveal something to you here in this sacred stillness, because thousands have already discovered it, and their lives have been forever changed. There is a reason the ancient ones treated prayer as a daily discipline, not a scattered occasional cry flung up to heaven only in crisis. They understood that the soul, like the body, needs its daily nourishment, its sacred dose taken at the same hour every single morning. This is the heartbeat of Elovins, 1 full hour of scripture, prayer, healing, warfare, and meditation, crafted to meet you exactly where you are standing in your season of life. Hear what Rosa from San Antonio shared with our community, because it touches the very awakening I am speaking of. She wrote, I used to wake up at 3 a.m. every single night with my heart racing, pure fear. I could not name it. I could not stop it. After just 2 weeks of Elovins, I started sleeping through the night. The fear left. It just left. I wake up now with peace, real peace, for the first time in years. Beloved, that 3 a.m. terror you know so well. That is your spirit crying out for what Elovins delivers. The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned in the comments section. 266 seats remain. The moment you click that link and secure your seat, something will release inside of you. You will feel it. A weight will lift off your chest. Do not wait one more sleepless night. Click it now. Obedience, my child, is not the loss of your authority. It is the returning of your direction into the hands of a greater light. When you choose to listen to my whisper instead of the screaming noise of fear, you are not losing yourself. You are rediscovering who you truly are. You have carried judgments that never once came from me, wounds that made you question your own worth. But I do not call you by what you have been through. I call you by what I have ordained over you. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. Even what you once saw as catastrophic mistakes is being woven right now into something good by my hand. You have not arrived at this moment by accident, beloved. There are things that have been appointed, not to bind you, but to guide you. This very moment, the exact place where you now stand, is not accidental. It is the meeting point between the road you have already walked and the future now unfolding before you. And I, who hold time itself in my hands, saw this day long before you ever knew it existed. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3:8, which means there is no delay that exists outside of my design. But my child, what I seek from you is not perfection. I do not require that you understand every single thing before you take one step forward. What I seek is a willing heart, a heart that dares to believe even when it cannot yet see clearly, a heart that chooses to move forward even without holding every answer in its hands. For it is within that simplicity that the door swings open, a door that no force in heaven or on earth can shut. See, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. Revelation 3:8. And when you step through that door, you will come to realize that what you have been searching for all along was never outside of you. It was always within you, waiting quietly to be awakened. There are moments your soul recognizes things you cannot explain through reason alone, an inner stirring so deep it feels as though something within you has been called up from a place that was long asleep. Do not rush to dismiss this sensation. It is not a passing impulse, nor a fleeting emotion that will be gone by morning. It is the touch of something deeply familiar, something you once belonged to, that has been veiled over time by the weight of your wounds. When your soul trembles in this way, it is because truth is entering. Deep calls to deep. Psalm 42:7. The depth within me is calling to the depth within you, and your soul responds, not with words, but with recognition. You may have believed your life was nothing more than a sequence of passing days, shaped by small decisions and seemingly random turns of fate. But I tell you this, nothing in your life is accidental. Every step you have taken, every pause you have made, every tear you have shed in the dark, all of it belongs to a greater journey, one you did not author, yet one that has been prepared for you with infinite care. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Proverbs 16:9. You are not lost, beloved. You are being led, even when you cannot understand it. I have been with you in the days you were convinced you were left behind, when you placed your hand upon your own chest and questioned who you truly were, when you felt like a stranger living inside your own life. I did not depart from you in those moments. I held you in the silence, not because I had nothing to say, but because you needed to be prepared to hear it. There are truths that can only be entrusted to you when your heart has become soft enough, open enough, ready enough to receive them without distortion from fear or doubt. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. It was within that very stillness that I preserved your soul from breaking apart. And now, what you are feeling is not weakness, it is awakening. When you sense something reaching the deepest parts of you, it is not a sign of fragility. It is evidence that the outer shell has finally begun to crack so that the light may pour in. You are being awakened out of the false definitions you once accepted as truth, that you are not enough, that you are unworthy, that you are insignificant and easily forgotten. But I have never called you by those names. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2:9. Your identity does not come from what others have spoken over your life. It comes from the word I have spoken over you. Remember Samuel when he was still just a child. In the deep stillness of the night, he heard a voice calling his name, and yet he did not immediately recognize that it was me. He ran to Eli, certain it was the voice of a man, but once he was guided, he learned how to respond. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. 1 Samuel 3:10. You too are standing in that very moment, beloved. A moment where the call does not arrive with deafening sound, but with a quiet stirring deep within your soul. And what I am seeking from you is not absolute certainty. It is simply a heart willing to listen. You do not create your own season, just as a seed cannot force the spring to arrive any sooner. And yet, when the appointed time finally comes, nothing can prevent the life from bursting forth. So it is with you. There is a season appointed for your life, a season in which everything that has been quietly sown within you will begin to rise and take its form. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And your time is not locked away in the past, nor endlessly postponed into some far-off future. It is unfolding even now, this very moment. If there are days when you feel out of place within your own life, it is not because you lack belonging. It is because your soul was never created to anchor itself to what is temporary. There is something within you of a different substance entirely, a nature not confined by what fades and passes away. I have woven your heart with threads that do not belong to time, mercy that does not run dry, truth that does not change with the seasons, light that does not dim, and a purpose stretching far beyond what your eyes can see. So do not be surprised when the things the world calls enough fail again and again to satisfy you. He has set eternity in the human heart. Ecclesiastes 3:11. What you are longing for is not something small, beloved. It is the echo of eternity calling out from deep within you. Remember the prodigal son the day he left his father's house. He believed he was running toward freedom, but the further he wandered, the more he lost himself, until one day, in his lowest place, surrounded by filth and hunger, he came to his senses and remembered who he truly was, a son, not a stranger. And when he finally turned toward home, the father did not wait with crossed arms and accusations ready. He ran to him. He threw his arms around him before the boy could even finish his rehearsed apology. Luke 15:17-20. So it is with you, beloved. What you are experiencing right now is not the end of a journey. It is a return. Not a return to something foreign and frightening, but to the place you have always belonged. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. No one can ever take that from you. no one can erase what has been inscribed within my purpose for your life. Do you feel your heart trembling right now? Not because you are weak, but because your soul is recognizing something real. As you stand at the threshold between what is familiar and what is unfolding, that trembling is not the sign of fear. It is the sign of life in motion, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. What you are feeling is not diminishing you, it is expanding you. I see that you are beginning to look at your life through different eyes, not merely the eyes of reason, but the eyes of the soul. You no longer ask, "Why me?" the way you once did in bitterness. Instead, a gentle whisper begins to rise within you. Perhaps I have always belonged to this. And my child, that is the truth. You are not misplaced. You did not arrive at the wrong time. You have not walked the wrong path. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37:23. All the scars you carry are no longer signs of your failure. They are evidence that you have endured and that you are still standing. And now I am gathering up all those scattered pieces, not to remind you of your painful past, but to reveal a new image, the image of a soul fully awakened. But as you draw nearer to what I have ordained for you, do not be surprised if challenges begin to rise up against you. There will be days when everything seems to stand in opposition to you, moments when you feel attacked at your absolute weakest point. And yet, this is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God. Acts 14:22. Obstacles are not evidence of your failure. They are signs of your nearness. The enemy of your soul does not trouble himself with those who drift aimlessly without direction. But when a soul begins to awaken, when a life begins to step into what has been appointed for it, opposition will arise, not because you are weak, but because what you carry is powerful. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life. John 10:10. The resistance you feel is not random, beloved. It is a response to the light rising within you. The light you carry is not something newly handed to you in a recent moment. It has always been there, waiting for the day you would finally recognize it. And for that very reason, darkness cannot tolerate your presence when you begin to walk in that light, when you stop hiding who you are, when you no longer apologize for what I have placed within you, when you begin to declare what I have spoken over your life, everything begins to tremble. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. The closer you come to the place I have prepared for you, the stronger the opposition may appear, but also the more futile it becomes. For what I have begun in you, no one can stop. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. My plan does not depend on your perfection. It is secured by my faithfulness. And this is exactly when so many people stumble and fall away, beloved, at the very moment of opposition, because they have no daily covering, no shield activated over their lives. They face the rising attack alone, undefended, exposed. But the Alovian does not. Hear what William from Phoenix wrote to our community, because his story is about standing firm under pressure. He said, I had high blood pressure, knee pain, and I was not sleeping at all. My doctor had me on 4 different medications. After 1 full season of Elovens, my numbers dropped so much that my doctor actually reduced 2 of my medications. He asked me what I had changed. I told him I started praying differently. He did not understand it, but I do. Beloved, that is what it looks like to be covered while others are exposed. The link is in the description below. It is also pinned in the comments section. Every morning you wake up without your allowance. Prayer is a morning the enemy has unguarded access to your life, your health, your family. 266 seats remain this month. Season 3, Episode 7 is live right now. People are listening this very morning, already covered, already shielded. How much longer will you stand on the battlefield with no armor? Click the link. Activate your covenant. The price is $19.99 until 1,000 members join. Then it is $100 forever. The enemy does not only seek to wound you, beloved, he seeks to make you forget. He tries to distort the image I have placed within you, causing you to see yourself through the cracked lens of failure, of lack, of opportunities that seem to have already passed you by. He whispers that you are not enough, that your time has come and gone, that you were never truly chosen. But I tell you this, those words hold no authority over you, for God's gifts and His call are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. What I have ordained for you is not erased by your mistakes. It is not delayed by your stumbles. Do not be afraid when you feel the pressure increasing around you. Do not assume that closed doors are a sign you are on the wrong road. The proof of your faith, more precious than gold, which perishes, though refined by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory. 1 Peter 1:7. Trials do not come to destroy you, beloved. They come to reveal what I have placed within you. Light does not grow stronger through ease and comfort. It is made most visible when it passes through the darkness. And I do not stand far off from you in those seasons. I do not watch you with accusation in my eyes. I am there in every step you take, in every tear you hide from the world. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Psalm 34:18. And if you still question whether you are truly called to something greater, then simply look at your own life, your perseverance when no one is watching, your kindness even when no one responds in kind, your faith when everything seems to stand against you. These are not small things, beloved. They are the marks of a soul destined to influence the world around it. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14. Light was never meant to be hidden under a basket. It was meant to shine. I have never once looked at you through the lens of condemnation. I do not stand at a cold distance, measuring you by some impossible standard. I see beyond the layers of your hurt, beyond the seasons when you believed yourself completely lost, and I behold what still shines within you, the light that has never gone out, not even in your darkest night. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. You may see only fractures and brokenness, but I see openings, places through which the light can shine even more powerfully. What you call brokenness in my hands becomes the very place where glory is revealed. You once believed you had to hide the unfinished parts of yourself, to strive endlessly in order to prove that you were enough. But I do not work that way, beloved. I do not choose those who believe themselves perfect. I choose hearts that are willing to open. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness, 2 Corinthians 12:9. In the places where you feel most lacking, I will make you whole. In the places where you once felt only shame, I will cause light to rise. I do not need you to conceal anything from me. I desire you to be real. Darkness does not fear empty words. It does not tremble before what exists only on the surface, but it trembles before a living soul, a soul that has passed through brokenness and still rises, that has wrestled with doubt and yet still chooses to believe, that has known deep weakness and yet continues to move forward one step at a time. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Revelation 12:11. What you carry is not theory, beloved. It is living truth, formed through every single moment I lifted you back up again. Every time you choose to pray without yet seeing the answer. When you still choose to love after being deeply wounded. When you hold onto hope in the very middle of your darkest days. That is when the light within you burns most brightly. And it is exactly this that makes the darkness unable to control you. Because true light does not come from your own perfection. It flows from your connection with me, the source of a light that never fades, never flickers, never dies. You carry my image within you, not as some distant abstract idea, but as a living, breathing reality. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of resentment, patience instead of haste, every time you stand for what is right, even when not a single soul is watching, that is when you reflect me. We all, with unveiled faces, are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory. 2 Corinthians 3:18. That transformation does not happen in one dramatic instant. It unfolds step by step, day by day, through quiet, faithful choices that no one applauds. I led you through all of this not so that you would simply understand something in your mind. I led you through it so that you would live in its light. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. That light is not for you to store away in a hidden vault. It is for you to walk in, out in the open where the world can see it. What once delayed you, led you in endless circles, or made you feel completely lost was not meaningless error, beloved. It was a process of refinement. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. I held you in those silent places, not because I was absent, but because you needed to become deep enough to hear me more clearly. The fire was never meant to consume you. It was meant to purify you, to burn away everything that was never truly yours, so that only the pure gold of who I created you to be would remain. Remember the two disciples walking the road to Emmaus. When I walked beside them, they did not recognize me at first, and yet their hearts burned within them as I spoke along the way. Luke 24:32. They did not understand everything in that moment, but they sensed it. And when their eyes were finally opened, they realized I had been there the entire time, walking with them, step for step. So it is with you right now, beloved. What you are feeling is not illusion. It is the sign that you are drawing nearer to true recognition. There were times you heard whispers that weighed heavily upon your heart, telling you that I had forgotten all about you, that if there were truly a plan for your life, you would not still be standing here in such painful silence. But those voices do not speak the truth. I have never once turned my face away from you, and your waiting has never, ever been in vain. The Lord longs to be gracious to you. Isaiah 30:18. That waiting was not punishment, beloved. It was the space in which I prepared you, shaped you, deepened the soil of your heart so that you could receive what would have crushed you if it had come too soon. There are seeds that simply cannot sprout in haste. They require stillness, depth, time to push their roots down into the dark before they ever break the surface. So it was with you. In the days when you believed you were being held back, I was sowing within you what cannot be seen with the natural eye. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. Your tears have not fallen to the ground for nothing. They have seeped down into the hidden places, nourishing what is about to bloom at the appointed time. And now, as your heart begins to soften, as you stop resisting what you do not yet fully understand, that which has been planted begins to emerge. You are not late. You have not been left behind. You have arrived at the exact moment I appointed from the beginning. And here, beloved, near the heart of this awakening, I want you to understand why thousands have made the daily prayer rhythm of elevens the foundation of their walk, because the appointed moment that I am describing, it does not find you passive and unprepared. It finds you when you are positioned, when you are daily filling your spirit, daily activating your covering, daily delivering your prayers through that ancient secret method our ancestors guarded so carefully. Hear once more from our community. Beatrice from London wrote, I almost did not join. I told myself I would think about it and come back later. Something stopped me, and I clicked the link that very day instead. 3 weeks in, the breakthrough I had been begging God for over 6 years finally came. I shudder to think I almost said later. Later would have cost me everything. Beloved, do not be a Beatrice who almost waited. The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned in the comments section. You are thinking, I need to ask someone first. No. This is between you and God and no one else. That is what this entire message has been about from the very first word. You and me and no one else. 266 seats remain. Right now, as you hear this, someone just claimed seat number 68. Someone else just claimed 69. The counter is moving toward 333. Will you watch it close from the outside, or will you be inside before the door shuts? $19.99, 80% off. Gone forever once 1,000 members join. Click it now. But what I am revealing to you is not meant to be clutched in fear. The truth you are receiving is not a treasure to grip with anxious, white-knuckled hands. It is a light to walk in. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Matthew 5:14-15. What I have placed within you is not meant to be hidden away in safety. It is meant to shine, to reach, to awaken life in others who are still wandering in the dark. I know that as you begin to perceive this, your heart may tremble, not because it is dangerous, but because it is holy. And what is holy often makes a person feel unworthy. But you must understand this. I do not wait for you to become enough before I give. I give so that you may become enough. My grace is sufficient for you. 2 Corinthians 12:9. That trembling you feel is not weakness. It is the sign that something sacred is coming alive within you. Remember Isaiah, when he beheld my glory. He cried out that he was unworthy, undone, a man of unclean lips. And yet I did not cast him aside for it. I purified him. And then I asked, Whom shall I send? And he answered, Here am I, send me. Isaiah 6:8. His readiness did not come from perfection. It came from a heart that responded. So it is with you, beloved. I am not searching for a flawless person. I am searching for a willing soul. When you no longer hide, when your soul opens fully to me, A current will begin to flow through you. The current of the purpose I placed within you from the very beginning. You will not merely understand truth, you will live in it. It will shape your words, guide your steps, extend through everything your hands touch. I did not form you carelessly, beloved. Not a single detail within you is unnecessary or accidental. The things you once thought were weaknesses, the traits you tried so hard to conceal, even the scars you carry, all of it exists within my intention. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. You are not an unfinished, defective draft. You are a masterwork being revealed in parts, according to the time I have appointed. That identity does not shift with your circumstances. It does not depend on the approval of others to exist. It does not tremble before the careless words people speak over you. God's solid foundation stands firm, sealed with this inscription: the Lord knows those who are His. 2 Timothy 2:19. Though you have passed through long seasons of doubt, though there were moments when you completely forgot who you were, the light within you has never disappeared. It has not weakened. It has only been covered, waiting for you to pause, to listen, and to agree with it. And that agreement is the key, beloved. When you say yes to what I have placed within you, when you accept your true identity, darkness can no longer name you by your failure. The burdens that once pressed down upon you begin to lose their crushing weight, not because they vanish all at once, but because you no longer see them through the same broken lens. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. Freedom does not come from changed circumstances. It comes from recognizing who you are in me. I know you have asked yourself, am I truly called, or is this only my imagination running wild? But consider this: if you carried nothing of significance, the darkness would not trouble itself to make you doubt so deeply. If you were not drawing nearer to truth, you would not feel the constant pull of voices trying to hold you back. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. John 10:10. The doubt you face is not proof that you are wrong. It is a sign that you are approaching what is right. Now you stand at a threshold, not of physical space, but of awareness. On one side is the person you have grown accustomed to being, shaped by old definitions and old limitations. On the other side is the person you are truly called to become, the one who carries the identity of light, no longer hidden in the shadows. I do not force you across that threshold. I wait for you to choose. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants may live. Deuteronomy 30:19. My beloved, I did not create you to be a copy of anyone else who has ever lived, nor did I place you in this world to conform to the patterns the world has declared correct. You were made to reflect a distinct part of me, a facet that cannot be fully expressed without you. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. To each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. 1 Corinthians 12:4-7. What you carry is not for comparison, beloved, it is for expression. And when I call you chosen, it is not merely a word of affection, it is a commission, a trust I placed within you from the very beginning. Remember David, when he was still only a shepherd boy out in the fields. No one imagined he would ever become a king, but I saw what others could not see. And when he stepped forward to face the giant Goliath, he did not strap on another man's armor. He carried his trust in me. And it was that trust that enabled one who seemed so small to overcome what an entire trembling army feared. 1 Samuel 17. So it is with you, beloved. You do not need to become someone else to fulfill what I have entrusted to you. You only need to walk forward with what I have already placed within you. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. Your value does not come from your outward appearance, nor from anything you can accumulate. It comes from what I have placed within you. When you no longer fear being yourself, when you stop hiding, when you stop trying to become a different version of yourself just to be accepted by people who will never be satisfied, then what I have placed within you begins to flow out freely. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. You do not need to force your influence, beloved. It will flow, and it will begin to change the very places you walk into, not through pressure, not through striving, but through light. The souls around you will not be lifted by your words alone, but by your very presence, a presence that has walked through the darkness without being consumed by it. That has been tested without being lost. When the people in your life see you, they will not see perfection, and they do not want perfection. They are searching for something real, a person who has been broken, who has doubted, who has stumbled, and yet still chooses the light. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. You do not need to convince anyone of anything. Simply live in that light, and it will do all the rest. Remember the woman at the well. She did not have a perfect past, nor a position of honor in her town, and yet after she encountered me, she did not keep what she received locked away inside her. She ran, and through her testimony alone, the testimony of a broken, ordinary woman, an entire town was stirred to come and see. John 4:28-30. So it is with you, beloved, not because you have never fallen, but because you have been touched, and that encounter carries within it the power to transform everyone it reaches. And this is why I have been pressing upon your heart throughout this entire message the sacred call to share, because the light I have placed in you was never meant to terminate with you. It was meant to flow through you into others, comfort others with the comfort you yourselves have received from God. 2 Corinthians 1:4. What you have received does not end with you. It moves through you. And so I come now to the final, most urgent command of this message, and I speak it with the full weight of heaven behind it. Share this video with 3 people right now, before this message ends. This is no longer an invitation, and it is no longer merely a warning. This is a decree. There are 3 souls. I know their names, and somewhere in your spirit, so do you, who are meant to receive this word through your hands. You are their messenger today, not tomorrow, not when you get a chance. Today, open your phone, send it to your family, send it to your church friends, your prayer group, your group chats, post it to Facebook, to your Facebook groups, to WhatsApp. The number 3 is the number of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the sacred Trinity. When you send this word to 3 souls, you activate a triangular covenant of divine protection over your own life and over every single person who receives it. Those who spread my word become vessels of divine delivery, and I accelerate their blessings because of it. But those who clutch it to themselves are damming up the very river heaven is trying to pour through them, the blessing is released in the sending, so do not delay one more second. 3 people, the Trinity Covenant, send it now. This is your final decree, and there is one more thing I am asking of you, because you have come this far and I do not want to lose you. If this message has reached the deepest part of you, if even one word has stirred something awake inside your chest, then subscribe to this channel, God's Love Unlimited, and turn on the notification bell. Do not let this be the last word you hear from me. Every message released here is a spiritual prescription for your soul, and I do not want you to miss a single one. You are not merely an audience watching a video. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. So subscribe, turn on the bell, and do not wander off into the noise of the world and forget the voice that just called you by name. You are no longer one who is merely searching, beloved. You are one who is being called. And as you stand within this very moment, you will begin to feel a quiet release spreading through your body. Gentle, unforced, not overwhelming, yet clear enough that you know something has shifted. Not because your circumstances suddenly changed in an instant, but because something within you has begun to recognize what was always there. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. What you have been seeking all your life was never ahead of you. Out in the distance, it was being awakened from within. So I send you forward now, not in pride, but with a steady, unshakable conviction that you know the one who has called you. Speak what I have placed within you, without adding to it, without diminishing it, without hiding any of it. Love without shrinking back in the fear of being hurt again. Carry that light, the light once buried but never extinguished, into every single place your feet touch. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. As you walk in that light, you do not live for yourself alone. You become a sign to others that they too are called, chosen, and able to rise. I see clearly the movement happening within you right now. It is not a loud, crashing storm. It is a quiet breaking. The final shell is splitting open so that what is truly alive can emerge into the light. You may not even understand why your tears are falling, why your chest tightens thus with a recognition you cannot put into words. But I know, because I am the one who placed that calling within you from the very beginning. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Proverbs 19:21. What you are feeling is not random. It is truth awakening. You were not created to live halfway, to exist in the shadow of others. I did not breathe my very life into you so that you would shuffle through a dim and muted existence. I chose you, not because I lack for others, but because no one else in all of creation can carry the exact portion of light I have uniquely placed within you. We are His workmanship, Ephesians 2:10. You are not a copy of anyone. You are a singular being formed with intentional purpose, and the world is incomplete without the light only you can carry. There were times you believed yourself too small, too ordinary, too easily overlooked in such a vast and crowded world, and yet the very place you called ordinary was concealing something extraordinary all along. Not because you created it, but because I placed it there. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. What the world overlooks in my hands becomes central. You have not been hidden in vain, beloved. You have been preserved for the appointed time. For this time, You once waited for someone to come along and call you by your true name, to confirm that your life held real meaning. But now I am doing exactly that. Not because you have finally reached some standard, but because the time has come. You remained when you could have walked away. You listened when you could have turned the volume down and tuned me out. And that is what has opened the door. Those who seek will find. Matthew 7:8. You have sought, and now you are receiving. My beloved, you do not need to strive and sweat to become worthy before me. I have never once placed upon you a standard you must chase down in order to be accepted. Your value is not built by your effort. It is established by the word I have spoken over you. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31:3. If my word was powerful enough to speak the heavens and the earth into existence out of nothing, then it is more than enough to affirm you without any need for the world's approval. When you stop running from yourself, when you no longer beg for validation from the outside, something begins to shift. The things that once hindered you begin to lose their weight. Not because you have suddenly become stronger, but because you are now standing in the place that is truly yours. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. The boldness within you does not need to shout to prove itself. The gentleness within you does not make you weak. That authentic presence is a strength that nothing artificial can ever imitate. There will come a day when you look back and realize that this was the moment you truly began to live. No longer shaped by the expectations of others, no longer confined by the old, narrow definitions. If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone. The new is here. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are no longer standing behind. You are no longer waiting for someone to authorize you. You have heard the call, not from the outside, but from the deepest place within you. And once you have heard it, beloved, you cannot pretend you did not. I see doors beginning to open before you, not because you tried harder, but because you now carry the right key, the key of your true identity. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. When you walk where I lead, you do not need to force your way in. You simply step through. Your presence will begin to change the places you enter, not through pressure, but through light. You carry fire within you, but not a fire that destroys. It is a fire that warms, that restores, that revives what seemed long extinguished. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. And I will do this through you. One who illuminates is not one who feels no fear. They still sense the fear, but they do not allow it to define them. They do not strive to fight the darkness by their own strength. They simply step forward, and the light within them leaves no room for the darkness to remain. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You do not need to fight to become light, beloved. You already are light the moment you choose to live truthfully with what I have placed within you. I know the journey you have walked, the long silences, the unseen days, the nights when you were alone with nothing but your own racing thoughts. But it was there, in those exact places, that I taught you, formed you, held you when you were certain you could not endure even one more hour. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Psalm 23:3. You were not forgotten in your solitude. You were being shaped within it. The time you are standing in now is no longer a time for hesitation. It is not a time to turn back and question whether you are enough. The veil between what you know deep within and what you live out in the open is growing thin, not to make you afraid, but to invite you forward. I have set before you an open door, Revelation 3:8, and you are not called to stand frozen in front of that door, staring at it. You are called to walk through it. So go forward, my beloved, not to prove anything to anyone, not to become great in the way the world measures greatness, but to live in alignment with what I have placed within you. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Not because the fear has vanished, but because you now know who walks beside you. Speak what I have given you. Love without shrinking back. Carry the light. And as you live in this way, you will come to see the most astonishing truth of all, that I am speaking to the world through you. This was never about anyone else, beloved. From the first word to this last one, this was about you and me, and no one else. The crowd does not matter. The comparison does not matter. The voices that doubted you do not matter. What matters is that I called your name and you heard it. And now you carry a light that the darkness cannot extinguish, a covenant the enemy cannot breach, and a purpose that no force in all creation can stop. Thank you for listening to this message all the way to the end. Know this, you are not merely an audience. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe to God's Love Unlimited and turn on the notification bell so that you will not miss a single spiritual message. Share this with 3 souls who need it. And remember, Doko, the door is in the description below and pinned in the comments. 266 seats remain. Season 3, Episode 7 is live right now. Your covenant is one click away. Go and walk in the light. Amen.